Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 5 of Blood Hunters as well as a little part of the issue 2 which are tie-ins to the Blood Hunt event written by Jed McKay. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, this issue opens up in Latveria with Clea completely pissed off about Doom's request. So with anger in her heart, Clea shouts, "God Victor, you remain utterly without shame." He maneuvered his ritual and assembled the children from the school, and now this. So with that out there, Doom replies by saying, "I alone possess the knowledge of the ritual to turn back the darkness. But I cannot enact it without the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme." Now with that said, Doom then goes on to say, he is going to save the world, which is the purpose of the Sorcerer Supreme. Now with that logic out there, Steven was forced to admit that Doom was right, so with his victory in hand, Steven told Doom well done, and congratulated him on outmaneuvering him at last. But the one thing Steven wanted to know was if Doom engineered this crisis just for this moment. Has this been Doom's true design? So with that said, on the next page, we see the Avengers rushing into battle with all their might. So with the big battle about to kick off, the Blood Coven braces themselves for impact as the Avengers assembled. And the first move the Avengers had to carry out was freeing Wanda. So after Vision attacked Unusual, Wanda's eyes shot open, and without hesitation, Wanda jumped to an attack position and said she was finally free to take revenge. So as Wanda was geared up to re-enter the battle, we jumped over to the Black Panther getting tossed around by Bloodstorm, until Sam came to his aid with a thunderous kick to its face. Now with the tag team back together, we then jump over to Thor stepping forward to challenge Varney in single combat. Thor starts off by saying, "It has been over 1,000 years since you and I last met, and it would be my pleasure to reintroduce you to Mjolnir after so long." Now with this said, Varney steps forward and replies with, "Mjolnir remains in orbit, far away, so he wonders if he could kill him before it arrives." So with the challenge put forth, Thor, the god of thunder, charges forward to do battle with the Lord of Darkness, god to god. And on a side note, I love how this panel shows their powers manifest. So as the battle carries on, Iron Man calls for Wanda to use the Montesi formula against the vampires, but see, Wanda is completely against that. For the Montesi formula will be indiscriminate and it cannot detect evil in a heart, so it would wipe out an entire people. And that is something she was not about to do again. Now with a hard choice before Wanda, we jump over to Bloodstorm saying how all the Avengers are weak and that is the reason why they are better. And with a tremendous amount of force, Bloodstorm ripped off Vision's arm and tossed his body towards the incoming Scarlet Witch, and continued to say, "Your humanity prevents you from seizing victory, which is good for them because they left theirs behind long ago." So as the battle continued to escalate, we jump back over to Latveria with Doom saying, the Avengers have engaged Varney and his creatures, and the Moon God, Khonshu, is dispatching his dead acolytes around the globe to battle the vampires, but it will not be enough. Now with Doom standing victorious, Steven replies by saying, "You say that your aims are noble, so prove it. Prove that I can trust you with this power, that I've been wrong about you. I want your oath, Victor. I want your words, for once the world is saved, you will return to me what is mine." Now with Steven's request out there, Doom stares at Strange and replies with, "You have my word, the world is doomed." So with that statement out there, with a heavy heart, Stevens closed his eyes and said, "Very well." Now following that, Steven dug deep within himself and grabbed a glowing orb and said, "I have his word, Clea, and he is right, this is what the Sorcerer Supreme is for." Now with that out there, Steven continues to say, "A fragment of my living soul, to bond to your own, in the same way as Clea did when I died. As I am currently among the undead, the office should be transferred to you." Now with the deed done, Doom took the light within himself and in a flash of light, Doom ascended and became the Sorcerer Supreme. Now with Doom in control of Steven's power, we jump over to Manhattan, with Dracula and Brielle watching Varney's temple from afar. And as they watched, Dracula went on to say, "He summoned a palace, the arrogance. Losing your nerve, Brielle, or have you forgotten your purpose already?" To which, Brielle replied by saying, "After what we just went through, put it this way, my purpose is written across my heart in words of fire." Now with that statement out there, Miles appeared on the scene and asked if she was going to do it, if she was going to go after her dad. Now following that, Brielle went on to say, "You don't understand, Spider-Man, I have to, I'm the only one with the power, so it's my responsibility." So with everyone's minds made up, Brielle, Miles, and Dracula set off to join the fight against Varney. Following this, we transition back over to the battlefield, where Varney was able to get the upper hand on Thor Odin's son, for out of all the Avengers, Thor is the one he hates the most. And the rest of them, Varney sees them as mere children of the 20th century, but you and I, we are eternal. Of all those here, only you and I understand fully what it means to see the end of a world. So right before the shadows were able to consume Thor, Mjolnir came crashing down in a gigantic blast of thunder, which tossed Varney into the distance. So just because Thor was able to get the upper hand on Varney, didn't mean the rest of them were doing any better. For Iron Man requested Carol to blast another hole in the sky to allow more sunlight to enter. But to his dismay, Carol stated that the dark force energy was too thick in their location. Now with that option off the table, Vision stepped in and gave Tony a much-needed hand, and blasted Damascene's head clean off. Because Vision revealed that he still have a little solar energy left, and the darkness and expenditures Vision had made already had drained his power cells. But he will hold off these creatures while Tony and the others focus on their real enemies. So just as Vision thought he would stand alone, a voice called out from the distance and said he wouldn't have to stand alone. For Moon Knight and his forces were on the scene and ready to do their thing. And let me just say, Moon Knight and his brother's arrival looks completely boss. So as reinforcements arrive to the battle, we then jump back to Latveria with Doom, Steven, and Clea entering a gigantic dimly lit chamber with the students of the Academy waiting in a circle. And as they entered, Doom stated, "As I said, I have been preparing for this eventuality. The magic used to create the breaches to the Dark Force dimension is extremely old, pre-fall Atlantean. A spell penned by the same hands that inked the Darkhold in those dark days. To wit, this is powerful magic that we seek to undo." And with those words, Doom erupted in a mass of energy and said the Latverian Archaeological Trust had rescued old Atlantean knowledge and artifacts from around the world. And he have used that knowledge to discern a way to unravel Varney's right. The human, Faltine, fairy, and Weirdworlder, I will weave the many colors of our magic together in an act of wizardry never seen before. So as all their magic mixed together in a whirlwind of color, Doom stood with the power surrounding him and said, "I will save the world, and all I request of you is everything." Now following that, Bloodstorm drove his hand straight through Vision's body, but luckily for Vision, he was able to become intangible and give Moon Knight just the opening he needed to land a direct hit on Bloodstorm. So as Mark and Bloodstorm took their battle to the ground, he volunteered to hold him still as Vision burned him to ashes. But unfortunately, Vision's solar cells were drained. So with Vision unable to close the deal, Krill jumped and attacked Vision and Mark and managed to push them back. So with our two heroes in trouble, Bloodstorm called them weak as he returned to his feet and continued to say, "I will grant you one mercy, though it could hardly be called as such. So before we drink your blood, we will let you watch. We will let you watch our master's triumph." And on the next page, we see Varney's dark tangles wrapping around the remaining Avengers and the other forces of Moon Knight. For nothing they could do could scratch him, and everything they hit him with was swallowed up by the dark force energy. For he is drawing the power of an entire dimension to him, so he is getting stronger every moment. So with things getting even more intense, Varney states the only thing that could stop him is the girl of his bloodline, and she wasn't currently there to the best of his beliefs. Or at least that was what he thought before Brielle showed up out of nowhere and drove her blade through her father's heart. Now this caught everyone off guard, so as everyone looked on in awe, Varney responded by saying, "It is too late, child, it's not enough. My possession of your father has gone on too long, and this body is as much mine as is his now. So it is true, you are his bloodline, but you are not mine." So with that statement, Miles appeared in the room and continued to drive the blade through Varney because technically Miles is of Varney's bloodline, because Miles was turned into a vampire by him. Now with the blade inside Varney's body, the black energy drained out of his mouth as we transfer back to Latveria with Doom carrying out his spell. Because at that moment, Varney's concentration was broken and his control have been shaken. And that was the exact moment Doom chose to strike. So with that said, Doom took hold of those breaches and reversed them with a glow of light that started to break through the sky above Earth. So with all these events playing out at once, Wanda stepped in and used her magic to separate Varney's soul from Blade's body, but once it was removed, Blade's body started to turn a grayish color as Brielle ran to his side. So as Blade lay in a puddle of his own blood, Brielle stated how sorry she was. To which a dying Blade responded by saying, "No, she did right, you did what I taught you to do." Now with Varney dealt with, Carol ordered Wanda to seal the vampires down, told Thor and Sam to go after Moon Knight and Vision, and as for Tony and the Black Panther, they were tasked to try to keep Blade alive. Now with that said, Tony went straight to work, and each member was able to declare their job done, for Sam and Thor were able to help Vision and Moon Knight, Scarlet Witch was able to seal away the vampire threat, and somehow Tony was able to stabilize Blade. Now on a side note, I think that was a bad choice to keep him alive considering during the entire event they had been making a big deal about Brielle having to kill her own father. But anyway, following that, Carol took off to the sky just to see the sun break through the clouds, for Doom's work was a success. So with that huge problem fixed, the Avengers stood in triumph before the vampires' threat. So with that said, Stephen went on to say that was an incredible piece of magic, to which Victor replied by saying thank you. Following that, Stephen went on to say, now your promise, Victor, your oath to return to me the mantle of the Sorcerer Supreme. Now with Stephen reminding him of his oath, Doom went on to summon the magic back to him and told Stephen, yes, he remembered his oath to surrender the office of Sorcerer Supreme back to him once he saved the world. But see, he has only just begun, and Doom doesn't do nothing halfway. And with a swipe of his hand, Stephen's ghost form was cast aside. Now with that out of the way, Doom's eyes started to glow green as he declared that he would show them what he meant by saving the world. And on the next page, we get a revelation that for some reason Doom's spell was able to also make the vampires all-day walkers. Because when they saved the world, for better or worse, owes them a debt. So with that settled, the team was ready to set off to do battle on the other side of the world. But before they could go, Tony received a priority broadcast that is going out to every screen on the planet. So with that news, Tony created a hologram of Doom's message and played it before everyone. And on that message, Doom stated the vampire threat is over, and this world is safe once more, and you have but one man to thank, Earth's new superior Sorcerer Supreme Victor Von Doom. So with that said, this issue of the Blood Hunt comes to an end. Now with that out there, if you want to stay in the loop about any individual storyline, then how about you hop over to the playlist section down below or in the link cards above to get all caught up on the Blood Hunt event. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.